Hey, what's going on? It's Jason, and no, it is not Friday. About a month ago, I went to an independent wrestling show for the first time in about 3 years, and I realized how much fun they are and had an absolute blast. So, since we don't really talk about independent wrestling on the podcast, on the Friday show with the guys, I thought I would start a new series. Now, this won't be every week. This will be sporadically, but I will try to talk to someone from the world of independent wrestling. And we got a great name. We spent lots of money on marketing for the name of this series. And are you ready? Hit the graphic. That's right. That Wrestling Podcast presents That Indy Wrestling Podcast. And this week, my guest is Kwency Jones. He is the owner, promoter of a brand new promotion called Winner's Circle Professional Wrestling. Their first show is January 27th in Chino, California. And him and I go back a couple years now. We've been on each other's podcasts. We've talked about hip hop and wrestling and everything in between. So I thought it was natural for a new series about independent wrestling. Why not start with someone who is starting a new independent wrestling promotion? So this is Kwency Jones on That Indy Wrestling Podcast. This week, we're going to talk to a guy that was a commentator. He's a ring announcer. And now he is an owner / promoter of Winner's Circle Professional Wrestling, which has their first show. It was written January 27th at the American Legion Post 299 in Chino. Welcome, Kwency Jones. Hello, sir.
Thank you. First of all, hell of an introduction. I appreciate that. And thank you. I'm glad to be on the show. We've definitely have done a lot of business together down, history, done other shows before. You've had me on the show actually talking about another promotion as well.
Yeah.
But this is the first time talking about something I'm kind of a little bit more hands-on with. So I'm really excited for this. And I'm very excited for this to be the start of a new series you're starting. Definitely excited to hear, let's go. Let's rip the Band-Aid off this thing. Let's get it started.
You and I talked about 2 years ago and you said, hey, I got this idea. Let me know what you think. And what made you decide, you know what? I want to do my own thing. I want to make my own promotion. Like, where does this idea come from?
Well, I think, first of all, us being wrestling fans, I think everyone already has this idea in the back of their head, right? Like, man, if it was me in there instead of Vince McMahon, if that was me in the creative room, I would have booked this way, right? So, I think that's always something that lives, inside of all of us as fans. But like you said, when I spoke to you, from podcasts, both those doing podcasts, and then me jumping from doing podcasts to being a part of a different promotion, Rival Pro Wrestling. And we could talk about it, dude, because my time in Rival Pro Wrestling, I don't take back at all. To me, I consider it an invested opportunity for education I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else without being deep in the middle of that industry, being in those shoes, actually having to figure out, okay, what's the card? What's going to sell? Is this going to move tickets? Or have people seen this match before? There's a lot of different aspects you think but you don't know until you're actually in those situations, right? So myself and my brother, shout out to, Doc, my brother Britton, we are part of Rival Pro Wrestling. And we're, of course, we're wrestling fans, but you've also had us on your show talking about music. Mm-hmm. So we also have this natural creative bone in our body, and there was a lot of times where we kind of wanted to go a certain way creatively, or we try to pitch some plans creatively. We just kind of wanted to make things a little bit more interesting. Not to say that the product wasn't interesting for us, just in the scope of the whole landscape of other companies that we are running up against. We just felt we didn't want to come off as just another company that want to just put exciting matches together for the sake of just putting up, these matches together. We always, the matchups are always great, you know what I mean? But for me personally, and it's not going to be the same for all 5-6 guys that were involved with that promotion. But for me personally, one of the things that I grew up on that I loved about wrestling is the storytelling, and I feel like that was some things that we were kind of lacking at, but it's no fault of anybody's. Like I said, we were trying to put on great shows and we did. And like I said, I thank them for even having an opportunity to move up from being, just this guy that's trying to figure out this world of promotion. And then boom, I'm getting an opportunity with my brother of, an opportunity, another dream of a lifetime. If I'm not running a wrestling promotion, everyone's sure as hell thinking about calling a match, right? So I got that opportunity. And so that's another thing. I got to cut my teeth on that. I mean, I'm coming fresh out of college. I went back to school. I tried to do the whole plan B thing. You know, I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? I don't think Lil Wayne's going to knock on my door anytime soon. You know what I mean? I got to have a plan B. So I went back and I'm like, okay, I love music. I love the entertaining portion of music. What else can I do? I'm thinking radio, and I get a little bit more immersed with the broadcasting portion of it, got into board operation and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I didn't want to do the whole program. They wanted me to go the full way because I just wanted to learn something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I just started becoming real like autodidactish about it. Like I just started, okay, what about this? What about this production? What about this? And all that. I fell in love with the radio aspect of it. So then coming fresh from that and then being able to do commentary, I'm like, oh, this is the itch I really wanted. You know what I mean? So I was able to scratch that with my brother. But again, after a while, we felt one thing that we weren't able to kind of fill, or I guess another scratch another itch we weren't able to scratch was the creative side of things. And it wasn't always received well, or maybe people wouldn't be able to see the full scope of things. And again, you know, it just is what it is. But after a while, you know, we did take a hiatus with that company, and we lost the venue that we were at, unfortunately. But even, you know, briefly after that, the pandemic happened. So it kind of, you know, a lot of timing, you know, went into a lot of stuff and a lot of thinking. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, right before the pandemic, dude, I was actually about to buy my own ring. I was about to invest I was going to be a ring company, dude. I had to pivot away from that because that's when everything closed down. I'm like, oh, I'm not making any money back on this investment. So didn't go into that right away. Started really sitting down and thinking about this promotion thing, because that's one thing I kind of was thinking about doing. And of course, my brother's going to be like my natural go-to guy about it. So we talked about it more. Talking turned into formulating an actual plan about it. And that turned into me actually applying for a trademark. I applied for a trademark for it just for the sake, in case I was like, you know what, if I follow through with this, then I at least had the paperwork done and all that stuff. And during that entire process of the trademarking and all that, things got serious. I started getting into creating belts. I started getting belts made. I started getting banners made. I started getting other things made, little necessities here and there. And then it kind of just been snowballing into what it is now. And honestly, like you said, I've talked to you about it. And by the time I talked to you about it, I think about 2 belts made. So there was a long process that went into this, even before I even talked to you. And the thing was, talking to you and a few other people, I was like, I know other people have the same appreciation for what we're trying to do and could probably see the vision of what we're trying to do as well. And again, not taking anything away from anybody else on the scene. SoCal wrestling has always been a great hotbed for independent wrestling. I guess it's, you know, called us throwing our hat in, but again, we just feel like there's certain elements that we fell in love with that may be a little bit missing. Mm-hmm. And though there are a few companies out here it's absolutely doing their thing, we feel like we can contribute as well. And that's where we're at now.
What I like the best about all of this, you took your time. I've seen, you know,
that was the hardest part. The hardest part is waiting. That's I will say that was the hardest part is, and like, I know you're going to say, like, you've seen a lot of these ones pop up and they don't last.
Right.
And it's not that they don't do it right. It's like they get to, you know what I mean? This took a long time. This took a very, very, very long time. So for anyone thinking this is just like
these are not spot shows.
No.
This is going to become a regular occurrence, regular shows, storylines, and things that you, the fan, will want to see. You know, I got excited when I started seeing the people involved, the talent, and then the matches you were putting together. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little different. And what really, I think, makes it a little different than everybody else, the choice of your graphics, your art, and the music. The music makes little videos long. There is something different that makes me feel like this is going to be a lot different than any other show in Southern California.
I appreciate you saying that. And the reason why is because you don't know something is working until you get feedback from that, you know, and that was one of the things that like it's funny because I'm probably, you know, by people seeing this when this comes out, they're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, it's that guy. Because a lot of people that we've talked to business wise, this has all been messages or emails back and forth. A lot of people, they probably don't even like they've worked with us before. They're like, wait a minute, we're talking to you this whole time. You're the ones you're the professional guy. You're the one that's buying my flight. This is the guy. Like, so that's what's so funny about this whole thing. It's like, it's one of those things where we try to like, it's one thing to say we're going to be different. Right. So we knew that one thing we wanted to have like a little small flair of hip hop and what we wanted to do. You know what I mean? We don't want to be hip hop heavy. You know what I mean? You know, let House of Glory do all that. That's totally fine. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that do that. With us, it's part of what we do. You know what I mean? Again, you know, it's from a music standpoint, so it probably just comes as no surprise.
Nope.
But yeah, the music was something that we kind of wanted to like offset. I mean, obviously it coincides with the name. It was written with the Nas record and everything like that. But yeah, man, and shout out to Haban, man. Haban, he's been a beast. He's the one that's been he's the one that did the flyer. You're just talking about the art. Really talented cat. He's been actually a lot of people. I think NWA's been hitting him up to do a lot of photography as well as flyer work. And he did a lot of work with Rival as well. He did a lot of work with a lot of guys in SoCal. But I told him I didn't give him any direction. Just told him the name, and he hit it out the park, dude. Hit it out the park. So yeah, and as far as the matchups, we've worked with a lot of these guys before, so we've kind of been scouting these guys for like the last 4 or 5 years. This is just kind of our we can't wait. We're like, you know, rubbing our hands like the evil villain, you know, sitting in because we've been waiting to like we see these guys get booked, but we always feel like, man, I feel like they're doing great, but we want to book them in a different position because we see a certain potential in them that maybe not other people are seeing in them, or we see something different in them that maybe no one's telling them.
Right.
And that's what makes this kind of more fun, is because we've been able to talk to them directly about ideas we have. They've been real receptive to it and stuff like that. So that's been really cool as well. That process, now, you know, that's been kind of going hand in hand with the matchmaking, because a lot of these guys, they want to know what's going on. We're a new company. You know, we want to extend that trust to them. We want to extend that transparency to them, let them know, hey, not only are we here because we're not just a bunch of guys with money, dude. Like, you know, we care about the product. We care about character growth, character development. One thing I've always prided myself on when it came to this was I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that could be a great promo artist, but maybe never is given the mic at a show. You know what I mean? Or maybe some people are mediocre, but they want that chance to get better. And that's kind of, I feel like, where we come in. We want to work with these guys. We want to help strengthen you know, some of their attributes that they have, you know, and stuff like that, and help. Like, for us, it's less about their star power, you know, us benefiting from that. It's much more like trying to help them benefit from what we're trying to do as well. You know, we're not saying we're not WWE, dude. We're not developmental, but there's a melting pot of talent here, and some of these guys, it's insane that they're still here. In other words, is where I'm at. You know what I mean?
And yeah, definitely. I mean, and we'll get into the matches in a little bit. But so you have the idea, and you come up with, you know, the concept. What is did you buy a ring?
I didn't.
Okay.
I was very close, but I didn't. When it comes to money, I'm like, I put away acorns for the hibernation period. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I pay my bills, and I mean, I'm a homebody. On my days off, I'm just usually doing either commentary, a podcast, or I'm doing something with wrestling or editing something. Like you said, I'm ring announcing. Sometimes I've refereed before. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that. Okay.
I've done a lot. Yeah, I've pretty much done everything but promote from, you know what I mean? So this is why it's funny that, this is where I find myself, you know? And, but yeah, man, it's, the whole process and trying to figure everything out, trying to figure out the name. The name that's something that comes from the music as well.
It was a different name, right? Wasn't it? With the first time we talked about this, right?
I think
wasn't there a West Coast something?
No, we never had a West Coast anything.
Oh, okay.
It may have been shortened. I think we may have not had the pro wrestling on there yet.
Okay.
But yeah, Winter Circle was like this. it's always the inside jokes. You know what I mean? That's something we used to call ourselves when it was me, my brother, and my cousin.
That's funny.
When we used to rap and do music. Oh, we're the winner circle. And then everyone else is the losers bracket. You know what I mean? We would just joke like that.
That's great.
So it's one of those, like, every time we'd see each other, we'd be like, it'd be this inside gem that we'd drop and we could always laugh about it. So it just made sense. And I remember even talking to him because, I did a music video earlier this year. And that's kind of when I broke the news a little bit because
I saw the belts in the video. So I knew the announcement was coming.
Yeah, it was a little Easter egg, man. It was kind of like now that was a fun part because my cousin's there. He's like, dude, what is this? Is this official? And I'm like, yeah, so I'm starting a company. Really? Do you know? I'm like, dude, we've been doing a lot. I'm like, I had to kind of fill him in between takes. Yeah. And he's like, what is it called? I'm like, read it. And he's like, what? Like,
perfect.
And he was like, he's actually going to be coming in to help us with the show. So he couldn't be happier, man.
Now that I know there's a meaning behind it, I love it even more. Like me and my dopey friends, we used to call our crew Supply and Demand. It was the most ridiculous thing ever, but
I like that because that was my first mixtape name as
nice.
Yeah, Supply and Demand. So I'm a fan.
Nice.
I'm a fan, but the matchmaking's been fun. Talking to the talent, that's been fun as well. Like I said, the one thing that's been the hardest, I'll repeat it, is the waiting. Being patient, doing it the right way. It's my brother. He's funny because he gives me all the credit in the world, but it's been really a team effort, especially now with my work schedule. My brother's really been killing it on promo right now.
Well, the social media marketing, I think has been great. The recent stuff about the main event, and then just other announcements and stuff.
We're trying to really present something different than what you see every weekend, and not only just be another option, but we want to be a priority as far as your list of options. And we want to prove to you why we should be on that priority list of options, and that's another reason why, anyone that like you said, the people that you were excited about, the people that are being used on the flyer, more to come for sure. But that's another thing. Again, I talked about it. We scouted, we have lists and lists of people that we've wanted for this roster for the last 3 to 4 years. Some guys didn't sign, some guys disappearing under circumstances that we won't speak of, but a lot of these guys don't know that we've had them pegged for spots for a long time. So anyone that you see that we're booking, it's for a reason. It's definitely to tell a story, but anything that we're doing, it's not just for the hell of it. Stay tuned. Is all I can say. Just stay tuned, and I can promise you're going to enjoy the ride. You're going to enjoy the story, and I can promise you that it's going to be worth every penny that you invest in us on the way. And in that, we look forward to entertaining you for years to come. That's as much as I can say to you as far as.
No, I got you, man. Let's talk about the venue. American Legion Post 299.
Man, so this is a hidden gem. From what I hear, they had wrestling there before. From what they told me, the staff, I guess they had a situation where they have a members only area, and some non-members were in the members only area eating members only food for an occasion that was not for them. So that relationship kind of soured. From what I hear, that was maybe, I think, 4 or 5 years ago.
All right.
Obviously, the American Legion Post has a long-standing close relationship with independent promotions all over, obviously PWG being probably the most infamous. I mean, bar wrestling used to, operate out of
a theater.
Exactly. I mean, the Baldwin Park one, a lot of people, it's just one of the go-to. I mean, Rival Pro's first show was actually at the Pomona one.
Nice.
Yeah, so they've had, a long-standing relationship when it comes to independent shows. So I was just looking around. I'm like, man, there has to be another one closer to me, Mm-hmm. I'm thinking in between like Baldwin Park, LA, and I'm like, there's a whole kind of like missing chunk of like everyone has to drive over to get their fill of wrestling. And I feel like there wasn't really, shout out to Empire Wrestling Fed. But I feel like there wasn't a lot of representation in the IE for wrestling. And I'm like, man, there has to be a Legion or some sort of financially feasible venue that we could look at. And I happen to find the American Legion in Chino. Matter of fact, I drove by this thing every day for a year when I was working during the pandemic at Amazon, without even knowing it. It's literally behind this liquor store. And when you get behind that liquor store, you're like, oh my God, parking's there. It's just, and then you walk in, you're like, dude, this sits 300 people. It's special. I like it. I like it a lot. It's just that I'm in love with the room. There's going to be food there. We're going to have a live DJ there, spinning music, kid-friendly music. Of course, I did get the it's hip hop, but I got the edited version just in case. I got a lot of, and if I couldn't get the edited version, I got the instrumental. So people are still going to be jamming out. But we have food. There is going to be a bar there as well. We're going to have vendors there as well, man. Anyone else that's actually interested in becoming a vendor, hit us up, man. Winter Circle Pro Wrestling at Gmail. Yeah, I mean, we're very excited with the layout. Again, for me, I want to get there so I can try to it's just so much room to play with. So I'm like, where do we want the ring? How do we want the entrance to set up? And that's me. I got to stop talking because I'll spoil a bunch of stuff that we have as far as presentation wise. Because again, that'll literally let people know how long we've been planning this.
That's good.
It's not just, it's the one thing my brother's always been saying is like, man, you've been on the little things that no one else is thinking about, but you're about it because you want everything to be uniform. I'm like, yes, yeah, absolutely. So if that's any indication, you know what I mean? It's not just only about how we come off, but it's also, again, making sure the customer experience is fulfilled as well. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the venue, speaking with the staff, can be any dope to us. I mean, it's funny because one guy we had to talk to you about the wrestling, he's like, wrestling like college wrestling. I'm like, oh no, and this is what I legit said to him. I'm like, no, wrestling and I'm looking, he's a little bit older than me. I'm in my late 30s, so I'm like, fuck it. I'm like Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Macho Man, no belt. I'm like, how do you not know Hulk Hogan?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I was kind of thrown for that, right? But then I found out because he grew up more. He's the guy that screw pro wrestling. This is
he's
real
all
wrestling.
about the Olympics.
And that, and the fact that he actually he teaches boxing, so he's in the real fighting. You know what I mean?
Okay.
However, I thought he was gonna be the hard cookie to crack, but the funny part about it is when I checked back in with the actual the owner, she had told me actually no, he's really excited because he's looking. Basically, we're the guinea pigs. He wants to bring in a ring and do his boxing stuff there. So I'm like, okay. All of a sudden, you didn't even realize there was a market for this stuff, And but yeah, the staff have been nothing but supportive. They really want this to go off without a hitch as well. They want this to be a regular thing. We're wanting it to be a regular thing when we're wanting this to be our permanent home, our permanent residency. And yeah, man, we're just, again, excited to put on a hell of a show, leave people wanting more, and again, come back at the next show, man, 100%.
A lot of people might think this is the boring stuff, but we are going to get to the wrestlers and the matches. But I want to know about the titles. You've got tag titles and you've got a heavyweight championship. Who made them? Because they look amazing.
That would be this company. Shout out to Pro Am Belts. They're actually the same. We've done work with them before. And so I got a different belt made by them. It's just like a custom belt. And I was like, this is an actual real belt. I thought this was just, you know what I mean? You see a lot of these companies out. And so I'm thinking it's not a big, but this was nice. Okay. And so when things started getting more serious, I actually, and this is when the, because we started the company, me, myself, and then my brother, and then of course the third man, as we always call him, my boy Mark. And they knew it was serious when I sent them a prototype proof, designed for a championship. And they're like, oh wait, are you really, you're getting this made? I'm like, yeah. Well, dude, I don't know, man. I don't have money to pay for it. I'm like, it's already paid for. I'm just trying to approve the design. Oh, whoa. You know what I mean? So the first championship got made, fell in love with that beauty. And my brother and I, of course, we love tag team wrestling. And as we were kind of still waiting out the pandemic, I told my brother, I said, because he wasn't, really present for the title designing that I did. They all trusted me with that, so that was cool. But I told him, I'm like, for our birthday, because obviously we're twins, I'm like, for our birthday, I'm gonna allow you to be the one to design the tag belt. So the tag belts
nice.
are my brother's design. He decided on the platinum with the red look. He thought it reminded of, a little hint of the NWA, old school, little style of it. It's funny because people saw him, they're like, oh, these look like twin intercontinental titles. I'm like, that's cool.
I mean, by design.
Yeah, I was like, if I had two Razor Ramones on one team, that's pretty cool. or any intercontinental title, whatever. But yeah, the title that they designed that title, and then the funny thing is, we knew we wanted a mid-card title, but we wanted to do something different. And
I was getting to this.
Yeah,
that was the next thing. I was gonna the pound for pound chain.
Yeah, the chain. Oh man, it's that is a brainchild of the third man, Mark.
Okay.
And he is. I love him because he's like he's cool. I mean, it's just funny because we call him, he's our wise man, because he is the most hip hop Jewish kid we know, but we've always clicked up on wrestling and hip hop. It's just so it's funny because he came up with this chain thing, and we're like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool if we were able to do something like that. But I remember always saying, but I don't want it to be like that 15-minute chain or that little medallion that they had Seth fighting over in FCW. That's the only thing I could really compare it to. And because before we're thinking the chains, now I don't even know how this is going to look.
Right.
And then the same company, Pro-Am, they started creating another brand called Championship Chains. And on top of that, each chain had the rose gold dookie looking, and I showed it to him. I'm like, dude, I think we can get this done.
Right.
And then we got it done. we looked it up, looked up different designs, came up with something. And then as far as the P4P, the concept itself, that's concept from Mark. We were thinking of what could be a suitable mid-card name. Everything's been taken. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pound for pound, the concept behind that is anybody can hold this championship. Anyone can hold that title that fights for it, that earns it, because at the end of the day, pound for pound, they were the better man that day, or woman. Who knows? We haven't even set the rules for this thing yet. But what I do know is there's a lot of guys fighting January 27th. They're going to be qualifying for a match for this championship, and we have yet to announce what that match in particular is. I can guarantee it's going to be a hell of a match, and it's going to prove for sure that pound for pound, the person who ends up at the end of that match is the best. It's going to be the namesake of that championship. It's going to be basically what proves. It's going to be a proving ground walking around your neck. You know what I mean? Anytime someone challenges you for that championship, they can take it from you. Title reigns may be a day. Title reigns may be a week. It could be months. You don't know. But pound for pound, you better be ready to defend it. That's all. That's it. So it's exciting. That portion of it is exciting because there's a lot of guys that we're looking to work with that in that concept that we know could do really well. And that's another cool thing. I think that's kind of worked out as well as, we have 3 titles. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Won't give too much of an Iggy on that, but it's funny because the 3 of us have, not even on purpose, have kind of gravitated towards different divisions of, you know what I mean? Like overseeing different stuff and hitting people up and stuff like that. So that's been kind of cool as well. But yeah, it's that concept. I'm excited to, like I said, we got a lot of guys fighting for that championship, fighting for a chance for it anyways. So come the next show, that's going to be probably the show stealer.
So let's get into some of these, some of the talent that is scheduled to appear. Of course, subject to change. Ray Rosas, Adrian Quest, the Wolf Zaddies, the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Alan Angels from Impact Wrestling. He's going to be there as well. So let's now talk about your matches. A tag team qualifying match for the tag titles. It's the Wolf Zaddies and the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Now, just looking at it, it could be. I think it could be match of the night.
For me, for my money, as a fan of tag team wrestling, especially in SoCal, these are, if not, I mean, I could probably name a third, but as far I'm not naming the top three. These are the top two teams in SoCal right now. People can take offense to that. That's just my opinion. But when we found out both were available and both were down to fight, we jumped on this quick because we knew this was going to be a banger. With the caveat being that this is just for the number one contendership. Because that's one thing about those tag titles is we see a lot of, I don't know how to explain it. We kind of want to bring back a focus on tag team wrestling, great tag team wrestling in Southern California.
With that, and that's going to be hard hitting too. That's not going to be. That's not going to be high flying. That's going to be some in your face throw down. I can't even think of the words right now, but it's gonna.
I mean, it's Sheamus would say it's going to be a banger for sure.
Yes.
I'm also excited because I'm a fan of just tag team psychology. You have to work together to be a unit. And I feel like those two teams do it very well. Very, very well. So I'm interested to see how they clash. And that's just for the number one contendership. The tag titles are going to be up for grabs at the next show against a mystery team. I can't say anything about that either.
That's all right. Believe me, I am so anti-spoiler.
No,
it's the other guys on the show hate how, because I'm like, they're like, oh, this. I'm like, no, stop. I'm the
same way.
I'm
the same way, and it's hard because I've been doing this on the sidelines for so long. So when I'm being asked about it, it's hard to shut up when I need to shut up. You know what I mean?
That's great though.
I got to make sure.
It shows you care. That's the biggest thing. Like I said, it's well thought out, and your attitude towards it is that you care. And then that's, you can't ask for a better.
No, absolutely, man.
A better combination.
And we really want that to convey not just to the consumer, people who are going to be watching and supporting our product, but importantly to the talent, because we understand we're stepping into their world. Some may have dealt with us in a different, uniform. Some may have not dealt with us before, but that trust factor, again, it's real. It's something that we take very serious. We hold it, very high. So we really, when I started getting respect from some of the workers that I was working with in the other feds, I started realizing how important this was. You know what I mean? So again, that goes also into the thought process of doing things right, because I know these guys have seen them come and go, so us talking to them and letting them know how invested we are going forward and wanting to tell certain stories and stuff like that. Again, it's kind of gone, for a long way. So definitely excited for that. But yeah, tag team wrestling, I feel like at its finest right here, definitely already worth the price of admission. I'd have to say selfishly. I mean, hey, that's just me.
I got you, man. So another match, the three-way qualifying, Adrian Quest, Ray Rosas, and Alan Angels. This is for the pound for pound?
So this is a qualifying match to get into the pound for pound match at a later date. This is actually not just a triple threat. This is a three-way dance, meaning elimination rules.
Okay.
So pound for pound, right? Anybody could be, anybody could beat somebody and catch the other guy slipping in a triple threat, but you got to beat two guys to win your way into the dance, so to speak. So Adrian Quest, we've definitely dealt with on a personal level before. We've worked with them with Rival Pro as well. Ray Rosas as well, another freaking long time staple here in SoCal scene as well. And then Angels is someone that I followed. I mean, Sammy Vlog, obviously Dark Order ties and all that. However, when I saw that he was making his rounds a lot over to the SoCal scene and he was getting booked a lot, and I was watching a lot of his matchups and stuff like that, I was like, you know what, dude, like this guy's killing it, man. Let's see if we can work with him. And yeah, he was open, man, and he's been honestly like the messaging back and forth, just communication. It's been all positive and stuff like that. So again, working with someone that they're taking a chance working with us, been appreciative and been very verbal of how appreciative we are with people trusting us in that regard. But yeah, this is a 3-way elimination dance. I mean, you got a multitude of styles here. And I think that's going to be one of the reasons why people are going to want to stick around past the intermission, for sure.
And then there are plenty of other matches, but I don't want to give them all away. You can find Winner Circle Pro Wrestling on social media for all the information. But the main event, the main event was great when you announced it, Dom Kubrick and Lucas Riley. But then social media took over.
Dom Kubrick and Lucas Riley, 2 guys that have been in this scene and busting their ass for a very, very long time. But one thing that I've managed to notice is no one's ever given them the opportunity at quote unquote the big one. Yes, there's been the submission championship, and there's been other mid-card championships, wild card, multi-man matches, all kinds of stuff. But I noticed for 2 guys that have been busting their ass for a long, long time, no one's really given them an opportunity. And we looked at that, and it really, made us take notice of these guys. Again, both of them we've worked with before, have never had a crossword about them. I mean, in fact, anytime these guys come out, the crowd can't get enough of them. And we sat there and we thought about it for a long time because we may have had other plans, and things change. Circumstances. We got to move on. You got to keep going. However, when we saw these 2 names on our roster list, we decided this was our main event. People will come to see these 2 guys prove why they deserve this opportunity. Both guys have earned it. And if you were asking me, I'm sure the other guy would be happy that they've gotten this opportunity against the other. You know what I mean? They've watched each other grow. They're friends. People have seen them. You know what I mean? They've tagged before. These guys are quite fond of one another. And so we were excited to be able to put this match on, especially for our main event, especially for the first main event, first show for our championship. One of these guys, they're walking away champion, and they're both champion material. It's up to them to figure out which one of them is going to be doing that. However, other people took notice as well.
Yeah.
And those people that took notice were not announced for our show. However, I'd be lying if I said that they weren't another name that was on our roster list. Again, circumstances happen. Things were out of our hands. And, it was quite interesting seeing the activity that happened on social media. I'll say I'm a fan. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. He Slice Boogie entered the chat.
Yeah.
Said that these guys, what have they done to be champion? As if they haven't all trained together at the same camp. So that's kind of interesting. They've all been able to watch firsthand each other's journey and put in that work. But you know what? I have to give Slice credit because it's his leg, not his mouth, that's injured. And he knows this is what makes his money. So upon him laying this cheese, I've entered his little trap. But you know what? Things worked out for the better. We responded, letting him know, hey, you're on our radar too, buddy. Don't think you're not. And we invited him out. And, I know things can get dicey on social media sometimes. No one really does the closed door, conversation method anymore. It's always everyone's so quick to blast somebody out and all this stuff. However, this opened up a door that we didn't even know could be open. And on the other side, I think both parties were able to negotiate something that'll be both beneficial for each other. And on that note, he had accepted our invitation. Slice Boogie will be at It Was Written, making a special appearance. And believe it or not, some would call us crazy, but he'll be there with an open mic. So we're going to hear more about what he has to say. And I mean, because I'll tell you what, heard or not, Winner Circle caliber as far as talent that we're looking for, Slice is one of them. So we definitely will allow him time on our show if he's going to ask for it.
He's like the final boss of a video game. That's how I described him. The guy is just, he's the guy.
I mean, you heard me earlier. I said there's a lot of guys in this and that's been killing it here that shouldn't still be here.
Agreed.
He is one of them.
Yep.
He is absolutely one of them. This guy, I'm worried, but I'm excited for this opportunity. We have no idea what's going to happen. But you know what? We're going to be actually talking to Lucas and Dom in a couple weeks for a sit down.
Perfect.
We're looking to ask him about whether or not this has anything to do with what's going on in their psyche, their preparation to going toward this match. I mean, I don't know if you saw Lucas had responded.
He did. But for me, a guy like Slice Boogie isn't someone to mess with in social media, in real life, at
undefeated,
all.
Right? Yeah.
Don't do that. No,
I mean,
say no.
This guy, this is the guy that his first piece of merch was a shirt that quoted fans saying,
"Fuck Slice Boogie."
Slice Boogie. I'm like,
you can swear here. It's okay.
Like it's like, come on, if you can't own it any better than that. You know what I mean? He's beating guys down in foam posits and Timberland. Sometimes
it's funny you brought that up. The first time I saw him, I don't even know where it was, but it was on an indie show out here, and because I'm crazy about like matching like your clothes, like you don't wear
and you love shoes too.
I do love the sneakers, so like you don't wear like Nike shoes with like an Under Armour shirt, like that type of stuff. So he wrestled that night in foam posits, which are predominantly worn by Penny Hardaway. He was wearing a John Starks jersey. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, get it. Penny played for the Knicks. Let's get him that Penny Hardaway Knicks jersey.
I think at least have the Penny jersey, all right?
And then I flipped. I'm like, well, the only thing John Starks has is footwear is like orthopedics now. So he's like the voice or the face of a orthopedic shoe bear. But like, Slice Boogie though, showing up January 27th. Yes. American Legion Post 299 in Chino. Who knows what is going to happen there? And if you want to know what happens there, can you tell the people how they can get their tickets?
You can get your tickets at wcpw.eventbrite.com. Front row is only $25. And let me also let you know that $25 also includes an exclusive event tee, only exclusive to Front Row, not for sale for anybody else. Front Row gets their own t-shirts. We'll have merch there as well, but this is for the Front Row people that are supporting us early, that want to get there. So I just had to let that be known. $25, get you Front Row and a t-shirt. General admission, only $20. So do you want to pay $20 for general admission, or you want to pay $5 extra and get a free t-shirt? You let me know. We also, again, got live DJs going to be spinning some music. We're going to have vendors there. We're going to have food there. We're going to have a live bar. Or a live bar. We're gonna have a bar. Everything is gonna be there. You know what I mean? Yes. So anything you need to do. I mean, if you're asking me for your money for that weekend, I mean, at the least $20 to get in. I mean, hell of a day, hell of a night. Come join us for the inaugural event. It was written, the first of what we hope to be a lot, many to come. And Winner Circle Pro, man, just welcome to the Winner Circle.
Thanks again to Kwency Jones, the first guest on That Indy Wrestling Podcast, brought to you by That Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jason Marchuka, and if there is someone in the world of independent wrestling, it doesn't have to be Southern California. It could be Pittsburgh, where I'm from. It could be Iowa, Michigan, Dallas, North Dakota, wherever, Seattle, Portland. If there is an independent wrestling personality and you want me to try to get them on this show, let me know. Reach out on social media at That WrestlePod. Or thatwrestlepod@gmail.com if you want to email the show directly. So I'm not sure when the next That Indie Wrestling Podcast will be. Just make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. If you're watching on YouTube, we are trying to get 4,000 subscribers before WrestleMania in April. So that's about 100 a month. So subscribe to our channel. It really will help out. And I will talk to you next time on That Indie Wrestling Podcast, brought to you by That Wrestling Podcast.